it's funny. You still think like if someone's like, name me video game characters, Sonic's probably still going to be the second or third person you pick. Still in this day and age.
And it's like, name me a good Sonic game. And they're like, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Or they're like Sonic Adventure 2, or they're like Sonic 3.
So I feel like he's synonymous with video games, but also nobody plays them. Not nobody, but fewer people play them.
Well, there's lots of people that play them for what I think are misguided.
Well, like pervy reasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
YUNKJunk!
Hello and welcome to Tubby Talk. And as usual, I'm Chris.
I'm Steve.
And today, it went so well last time. I'm sorry, we are really out of ideas and morally bankrupt. We're doing a tier list. Hey!
This time we're bringing you a tier list of some of the top grossing video game franchises of all time.
Yeah, this is specifically the top 14 by dollar amount. The top 14 grossing video game franchises of all time. Franchises is important. So it's not just single entries. And we will see as we get in there, there's some pretty big, broad entries in this one. But yeah, I think we'll jump right in and start checking this out. So we're going to get right into, we're not going in any specific order except the order that these uploaded. So Assassin's Creed. How do we feel about Assassin's Creed?
So I'll start off. Assassin's Creed 1 came out. I heard that there was going to be a historical based like action or action platformer.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm very excited about that. It takes place in like the 11th century, like Middle East during the Crusades era. I was like, this is really cool. I don't know much about that besides what I've read in like books or like in the encyclopedia or something. So I was like, I want to play a game about this. And then it was a stealth game. Hate. I tried not to hold it against it too much. I played like the first 3 or 4 stealth missions, and I was just like, I hate stealth missions even more than I thought I did, so I stopped playing it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the idea of the first one. Fast forward to Assassin's Creed 3, which takes place in revolutionary America.
Yes.
In the colonies. And it starred a Native American protagonist. And I was like, I need to play this game because it's another point of history that I like and I've liked reading about. And I want to play a game that lets you, stab people with hidden knives on your wrist throughout the era.
Yeah.
It was a little bit better. There was less emphasis on stealth, more emphasis on finding Benjamin Franklin's like
pages. Well, that
manuscript pages that flew all around.
Yeah, that was like the side thing. Like you could or you couldn't, but you always wanted to.
But it didn't. There was nothing in Philly. Strangely.
Yeah. Oh, the whole thing was about the Revolutionary War and the founding of the country. There's one scene in Philly.
Yeah, that's a cut scene.
You can walk around Independence Hall just a little bit.
You walk up a staircase at Independence Hall.
The whole thing's in Boston. The whole thing's in New York.
But also, Valley Forge was a big section too. Like with all the outside sections with the war stuff was Valley Forge. So that was close to Philly.
But no Philadelphia. They're talking about all this stuff. You're chasing down Ben Franklin's manuscript and you don't have a scene in Philadelphia? No. Bad.
Assassin's Creed 4 had ship battles, 3 had ship battles.
Well, 3 started ship battles, but 4 was about
4
ship
was about
battles.
ship battles.
Yeah.
I got it for Christmas from my girlfriend. Never opened it, never played it because I was tired of playing Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
C tier.
C tier. Okay. Yeah, I'm not against that. So I'm not a big fan. This is the type of the gameplay itself. It feels like it's cinematic. It wants to be cinematic, and that does not lead to like snappy gameplay. Every time you press a button to stab, it's not like you stab. You like
there's a long animation, wind up
and
everything. Yeah,
you start this animation, and it makes these games look really cool. I don't want to play them at all. Like you're walking around, and you know what you do to climb a building in this game? You hold up. You're at a building, just hold up, and your dude's doing all this parkour and like flipping out.
Yeah, automatically. Like you're not doing parkour. Yeah.
So,
which leads a lot to also to running towards a building. You don't want to climb up a building, but he starts climbing it because you held up near the building.
Yeah, and like I like the stupid video game stuff where they're like, anytime you see a bale of hay, you can jump into the bale of hay from any height, and you're fine. And that's great. Like that's stupid and fun.
You had like a hawk noise. Yeah, it's like oh, you dive off. It was great.
But the gameplay, I would say personally for me it's a D. C, I'm willing to go with.
So, just on the strength of how much I did like playing Assassin's Creed 3, burned me out on open world collectathon games. I liked the collectathon in that game. So I was like, I'll give that a benefit of the doubt. If you say D, I'll agree with you with D.
See, I got nerded out on the 3 pissed me off. Because it starts out with a British sympathizer, right? That's your protagonist. And the whole conceit of Assassin's Creed is that your genes contain the memories of your ancestors, right? Which is absurd. But okay, that's your conceit.
But that was the conceit, though.
That's your conceit. Great. So you're playing this guy, this English guy, and then he mates with a Native American, and you still follow him a little bit. And I was like, no. By the conceit, the second that he conceives the child,
you shouldn't follow him
that's the
anymore.
end of his genetic memory.
Well, see, that's part of the secret, which is also part why I didn't play 4. 4, you play him as a younger person, the father as a younger man.
Which makes sense.
Well, conceit-wise, gameplay-wise, you already followed the dude at the end of it. Like, you know what's going to happen later. So you're playing a game where you play as a guy that already did a bunch of stuff you saw.
Yeah, I'm willing.
There's no narrative tension there.
I'm willing to accept your goofy conceit if you stick to it. And if you're telling me, all right, genes have memories, sure. The second you pass on your genes, it should no longer have the memories that happen after that. So,
but that's the thing.
C. I'm fine with C.
They presumably had the dad's DNA for the next game. That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, well,
they had DNA from when he was younger, so therefore they must have had it.
Yeah, but that doesn't break it because, like, if they get it from the son and the ancestors of the son, then all of the dad's lifespan until conception should be in.
Now, if they had the son's and the dad's DNA from old dad, after dad continued doing stuff after the conception of his son,
that makes no sense.
They presumably had to. Yeah, see, it's dumb. And then it turned to an RPG for some reason, but a bad RPG.
Yeah,
D tier.
We talked ourselves down.
Yeah.
Okay, we're putting a D. Take that, Assassin's Creed. So yeah, it's got some things going for it. It's got some things, but man, the gameplay and
the playing well with historical figures and times and events is fun to me.
Yeah.
If the gameplay was fun, I would like the series more. The gameplay's not fun.
Yeah. Oh, I like it. We're getting spicy already. Moving on to the next one, we got Call of Duty, which is a huge seller. We know a perennial. Up until recently, they released one every year.
For like 18 years?
Yeah, for like 18 years. They got to the point, I think at their height, there were 3 developers working on Call of Duty games simultaneously so that they could do it on that annual cadence, which honestly kind of killed it.
Was it Infinity Ward, I think, is the one that made Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare?
Yeah.
18 years ago. I played that. I liked it.
I was like, these are fine.
Yeah. I'm not a big military shooter person, but for a military shooter, it was kind of fun. I played Tom Clancy Ghost Recon before, and I like that a bit.
Which is a totally different thing.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a military shooter.
Yeah.
Still, it's not like a sci-fi or fancy shooter.
Yeah, I don't want to go above C for this person. Like,
I would say D or F.
Okay, well, I think
because the franchise comes out every year and sells a lot doesn't mean that the games are good.
No, it doesn't at all. That's what this list is for.
Yeah, it just means that they're making a lot of iterations on what's already there. But, and there's not is there any reason to play the next iteration besides it's a new one? Everybody's playing online.
The reason most people do is because they love the multiplayer, and all their friends move to the new one to play multiplayer.
But like, so yeah, you said they had like 3 developers. I think they had like 3 different timelines or main settings of games. Like one was present day or slightly near future. One was like 50 years from now. And the other one was like World War II.
Yeah.
Or Vietnam. So like I could see a reason to play like, oh, this one's a Vietnam one. I'll play this because it's not a sequel to this one I just played, which is set in the future.
And some people might even break them down single player versus multiplayer. Like we're just putting the whole thing together because some people like have arguments about the multiplayer. Well, the single player is all I played a lot of.
Yeah, I've only ever played the single player of any of the Call of Duty games, except for a little bit of multiplayer during a demo for COD Blops 2.
Yeah.
The beta, and I hated it.
Yeah, I got a friend who's very into like the multiplayer in these games. She still plays it like pretty frequently. And I like playing it with her, but the last couple, I've only played through the campaign of one of these games. I think it was was it Call of Duty 4 or Modern Warfare? I don't, but some parts of that got strangely subversive. Like there's this one level, a lot of it's first person shooter, but one is taking place as you're basically like a drone pilot and you're dropping bombs on this monochrome screen, and like it's very subdued, but it's like every bomb you're dropping is killing a bunch of people in a building, and it's like, oh, this is kind of making you think about the horrors of war a little bit. Like that's
how detached you are from it.
Yeah, how detached you can be.
Because the character's attached, and you're detached playing a game about the detached character.
So I was like, I'm surprised they put something like this in like you would think a rah military shooter. It's not quite that. but a lot of people play it like it is.
Yeah, I feel like part of the problem is people playing multiplayer largely aren't playing that and getting any of that nuance or caring about any other people.
Here's where I would
which is make the game the multiplayer garbage.
C tier, I'm saying, because the gameplay is snappy. It's very competent first-person shooter, aiming, shooting, running, gunning. Like, I think it is a step above Assassin's Creed in gameplay. So, and to me, gameplay is king. So I say C.
Okay, I won't argue with you with C.
Okay. Call of Duty gets a C. All right, moving on to another one. Big, huge seller. FIFA, soccer.
I have
football.
2 experiences with FIFA games. One, I played like the first FIFA game on like SNES or something. I enjoyed it a bit. It was fun. And then somebody hack my Xbox Live account when I had a 360, and they tried to buy a bunch of FIFA bucks. But tricks on them, I didn't have any money. So they hacked in and tried it, and it got denied because I didn't have any money in my checking account because I was broke.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I haven't played it much. I would say I would default to whatever you.
Yeah,
think.
I mean, I haven't played it much either. It's soccer.
We're Americans. We don't play soccer.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna play. Is anyone gonna? Let's play FIFA. None of my friends are like, let's play FIFA. I know a lot of other people are. So I feel like we are. This is the one we probably have the least like. We're not
I definitely don't
least
have much
qualified.
experience on it yet.
But anyway, D.
D. Yeah.
Yeah. I hear it's competent, although it's one of those annual releases. Anything annual release, I think you're gonna drop down.
That's one of those annual releases that at least a couple of releases ago got real money grubby.
Yeah, yeah.
F tier.
Sure, F. F is for FIFA. There we go.
Put out a game every year and then you try to get extra money grubby on top. Horse armor type shenanigans are already bad enough, but then we're like, oh, you got to pay for like roster updates.
Yeah.
What? No.
Yeah. All right, so in the pattern we're establishing, we're up to Final Fantasy. We should get an F as well because it's
That's 2 Fs. So you complete the trifecta, same as FIFA.
So Final Fantasy's tricky. It's got a lot of different things going on. I've played some of these games, love them. They're like really enjoyed. Final Fantasy 6 is probably my favorite. Final Fantasy 5, it was also excellent. You go to the moon. I mean, any game where you take
Are there rabbits on the moon?
There's not rabbits. I don't think. No. But there is like an Ubermensch on the moon, so but then like you get into the modern era, people love Final Fantasy 7 is kind of probably the most iconic of the Final Fantasies to most people. The characters look fun. I played a little bit of that game. I've never made it through. I always like
the character designs of all the Final Fantasy games. Like there's always 1 or 2 that stand out. Like, oh, this is really, really cool design for a character. I've only ever played part of 7 Remake, which doesn't really count as playing any Final Fantasy games. I played.
Was it an intergrade?
No, it was just Remake.
Yeah,
for intergrade.
So
which is out now on Steam.
So yeah, so you haven't played through a Final Fantasy game ever.
I've read walkthroughs about Final Fantasy 7. I didn't have a PlayStation, so I was like, I'll read about this game every, like a strategy guide.
Yeah, I haven't played. I don't think any of them that have gone outside of the turn-based strategy, turn-based RPG, JRPG specifically.
Oh, I did play Final Fantasy 14, like a free trial for like a week.
Cool.
It was a fun MMO. I wasn't a fan of. I don't live in an MMO lifestyle anymore.
Yeah.
I played World of Warcraft for like 3 years, like dedicated. I had a clan I raided with and everything. I don't have that now. None of my friends play it, so I'm just kind of like, it was a fun diversion to mess around with, but I'm not going to like give energy to Final Fantasy 14.
It's done a lot though. Like a lot of other games have taken their cues from Final Fantasy,
and the developers have made a couple games that I've loved. Developers and or the publisher, like Square published, and I'm pretty sure the Final Fantasy team, a lot of them they did work on Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah,
one of the best video games of all time, if not the best video game of all time.
Yeah,
in my opinion. And then you have Bravely Default, which came out on the 3DS, and that was a really good Final Fantasy turn-based style game with a bit of a gameplay twist.
Yeah. Octopath Traveler,
is like a 2D. I don't remember what they call it. It's like an isometric flat 3D.
Yeah,
it's like pixel art style. Like it's a beautiful game, and the turn-based combat is built upon like the Final Fantasy pedigree.
Yeah, and that pedigree is really strong. And I feel like these are the first games that let you really play with game mechanics in possibly game-breaking ways. Like one of my favorite things in these games was they have this thing called the wall ring. And you could have it in like the early, like the NES games. It basically means anything, I am rubber, you are glue. So you hit someone with the wall ring and it bounces off. But you can put it on one of your characters and then hit your own character with the spell and it will bounce off to the enemies.
Oh, nice.
And this is also gets great stuff like you cast a heal spell on an undead enemy and it hurts them. I love that stuff. Like that's the
D&D
best
rules. Yeah, that was always fun.
the best of turn-based strategy. Yeah. So like I think to me it's between A and B. I don't know where I would lead.
I would personally say B tier, but not having played them, just knowing about the cultural cachet of the games.
Yeah.
And the games they have spun off, which I have played, like Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler. I'd give it an A.
Yeah. All right. Final Fantasy gets an A because fantasy has 2 A's. Yeah. I'm fine with that. Yeah. I think it's like low A, high B, and I think that's a good place to put it. It's got a lot going on, but again, I think we need to play through some of them.
Yeah,
maybe.
that might be a fun way to spend any free time.
Yeah, all of our copious free time.
Yeah.
At one point, I watched my wife play through Final Fantasy X, and that was fun. And,
with Titus and his
with
terrible
Titus.
laugh.
Yeah, which the memes alone, they're great. And don't forget Chocobo Adventure Racing. Is that what it's called? Chocobo Racing. There's a kart game. So yeah, A. All right, moving on to Grand Theft Auto. This one is a perennial bestseller. Still, Grand Theft Auto 5 is like in the weekly bestseller list for the past 10 years.
Well,
I don't know who's still buying it.
Well, no. So Grand Theft Auto Online is still huge. I thought they made it a separate product recently, like in the last year or two.
I'm not
So
sure.
5 might drop off some if you can buy it online by itself.
It's still insane that this game was like the top 10 seller for almost a decade.
Yeah. Well, because people, I think part of the reason it sells so well is because online you get banned.
Yeah.
And you have to buy a new copy so you can play again.
Oh my God.
You can't play it because you got banned.
That's amazing.
I think that might be why it sells so much, because I can't see that many people getting newly into it every year.
Right.
There must be a lot of people trying to come back because they got banned, so to get a new console or make a new account and then buy another copy of the game.
So if you're talking about PlayStations, it came out on the PlayStation 3 originally.
5? Not 5.
Yeah, 5 came out on 3. Yeah.
Came out on 4.
You look it up, man.
Because I remember I was waiting with bated breath for it to come on PS.
Pretty sure that's the case.
PS4.
But anyway, like the Grand Theft Auto games, there is something fun about them. I think they're overrated, personally. Like I think
you're thinking of PS4, GTA 4 that came out.
Did you look it up?
Well, I looked up 4 by mistake, and it came out then. 5 came out in 2013.
2013 for the platform. Yeah.
I mean, this is riveting podcasting.
This is great radio, Jerry.
I mean, here. Where do you even see it on?
Well, I'm going to say so.
Okay. PlayStation 3?
Told ya. 3, 4, 5. Each has a port. I know, it's nuts. It's very old.
It came out on 3 and Xbox 360.
Yeah.
I don't remember playing. I could have sworn Did they port it later to PS4? Or was it simultaneous?
Yeah. No, it was ported later to PS4.
What was I doing before I was... Okay, wow. I stand mistaken.
It's crazy, right? Like, no, I understand your disbelief because that can't be right. The PlayStation 3 is so old.
So many generations ago.
No, it came out on that. It's nuts. But it's also, I feel like it's a cultural touchstone that a lot of people are into. Kids play this game who should not be playing this game. Parents buy this game for their kids and they're just like, yeah, go play the fun video game. And then they are shooting people and beating up hookers. That's what you do in this game.
Back in our day, that was national news.
Yeah.
And people made a big stink about GTA 3 and all that happening. And then cut forward to GTA 5 where probably the kids of those people that were making the stink are buying it for their kids.
Yes.
In 24, 10, 11 years after it came out.
So a lot of kids grew up playing these games, which is messed up. Because these are like, you don't talk about edgelord. Yeah, like these are the edgiest of edgelord.
They're mature and edgy, in air quotes, edgy games. Like,
I would say edgy because it's mature, but also comedically violent and comedic. Like the cursing and the inappropriate content is over the top and to be like a parody.
Yeah.
But some people don't get that that's a parody. And I don't know that GTA always gets that it's a parody either. I will say Vice City, probably the best. My favorite one.
Vice City, I think, is my favorite one too. At least I have the best fond memories of playing it.
Yeah.
Apparently, I have no memories of playing 5 because I don't know when I played it now.
Yeah.
I finished it. I know Trevor was ridiculous as a character, like the one like psychopath guy.
Yeah.
Because the actor shows up in other stuff, and I'm like, he normally just plays the character. And I'm like, hey, is that guy? Because he looks very distinct.
I want to know if people care about 4 because that was like Nico Bellic. And it was just like it seemed dour.
Yeah, it seemed dour. There was back in Liberty City, which was different than the GTA 3 Liberty City. And I was like, why'd you make a whole different city when it's supposed to be a sequel in the same world?
Yeah.
I understand technical limitations, but like...
They had something fun. Like GTA 3 had a kernel of like some fun stuff. Vice City, I think, refined it and made it more fun. And in San Andreas, I didn't play much of, but I know a lot of people liked it.
It's very memeable. There's two memes.
But then going forward, like, I don't know, would you sit down and play a GTA game now?
GTA 6 is announced. I was thinking about sitting down and playing it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to see some gameplay, though, because they haven't gotten to the point where they're showing any gameplay yet.
Yeah.
But they have shown that they still have that same possibly tongue-in-cheek, possibly not edginess to it, which is part of GTA. Like, sometimes it can be fun. I feel like Saints Row ate their lunch, and Saints Row 4 I loved. And after that, I'm like, I don't need to play another GTA game, because Saints Row 4 was what GTA's trying to be, but with superpowers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I'll check out 6 if it seems like a return to form for them, which it means not an online money grubbing game.
Right. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards C personally, because I feel like some of the core gameplay is really fun. It is definitely a cultural touchstone. On the other hand, I feel like I'm going to sound like an old head. I think it made society worse. Demonstrably. I think kids who grew up with this probably it's one of the few games I play, and if I have fun, I kind of feel gross inside. And this is a guy who plays like Doom and like gory games. This feels worse than gore. It feels worse. It's like, hey, let's take the darkest parts of society and make them wacky and over the top. And
so how do you feel about GTA 6 then being set in Florida? Which it sounds like you're saying Florida's worse these days, and other places, but Florida became the meme it is because of Grand Theft Auto players. Like now they're basically a Grand Theft Auto game in Florida.
Well, Vice City also took place in Florida. In the 80s, yeah. The 80s where everything was better.
Everything was neon at least.
No, I'm curious to see. I'm probably not going to play it, like go out of my way, but if someone's like, hey, drop this in your lap and you have 3 hours to play something, and
check
be
it
like,
out.
Sure, I'll see. See how gross it makes me feel.
I would say C, because even though I personally disliked 4, it was just more of the gameplay like amped up a bit from 3 and Vice City, which I did enjoy those a lot. I also enjoyed modding them a lot. Like I had so many modded cars. I had real world cars modded in. I had Testrosa modded in. I drove that all around Vice City and GTA 3.
Quick question before we end on it. Have you played through a GTA game, the storyline? Because I never have. Okay.
3, Vice City, 5.
Okay. Because I feel like these sandbox games, they tend to make you not. Like, which is to say, like, there's emergent gameplay, right? You're like, all right, I want to see what the biggest police rating I can get and how long I can stay alive. And I play games like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, I like emergent gameplay when it is something that you can do whenever you want and then you go back to the main story.
Yeah.
I don't care about, like, the weird incongruous narrative beats where they're like, you have 5 minutes to get to this place, and then you stop and do a bunch of crash them up for an hour.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me.
No.
I understand it's a game, and I ruin the flow of the game by doing this emergent stuff. That's on me.
So C?
Yeah, I like that stuff. I would say either C or B.
All right. I say C.
C.
Yeah, let's say C. Grand Theft Auto C.
If you can't tell, I kind of have a bias against games that start pointedly being like, let's milk more money out of people. And I feel like GTA Online did that. So that's why I'm not willing to give it like more than a B or C.
The fact that they ported the same game to 3 different console generations. Yeah. So Lego video games. So this, a little bit of a surprise, but when you think about it, not too much.
Yeah, because they make so many. There was Lego Indiana Jones. That was one that I was first introduced to these Lego games for, with.
Yeah.
Both like it was like a 3-pack of games, I think. I got on 360. It was like Temple of Doom. I think it was Last Crusade and Temple of Doom.
It wasn't Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah.
It was Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and Last Crusade.
Did you enjoy it?
That was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the like quirkiness that the Lego universe added to it. Lego Star Wars games I never really played though, because I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. Have you played any of those?
I played a couple, but not all the way through. My favorite game of these that I played is Lego City Undercover.
Oh, that was on Wii.
That was on Wii U,
right?
and then eventually they ported to other stuff. But Lego City Undercover is a sense it's not based on another IP. It is a Lego centric world, and it's the writing is so good. I think that's one of the things. Like in terms of comedic game writing, the Lego games are actually really good. There's not a lot of games that are funny.
Yeah.
This is one of them. And
did you play that with one of your kids too?
Yeah, Leona, I think it was the first game she ever beat. Which is a big game for the first game you ever beat. But yeah, so I think they're great. They look really fun. The gameplay is a little floaty for me and easy, which makes sense. They're for kids. But I love the writing and the presentation, and it seems like somebody behind there is putting a lot of thought into how these are put together.
And care and love into it.
I would edge B, like that high. So for me, like the gameplay's okay, but the presentation's really good.
So as a franchise, how do you feel though? Like there are disparate themes for the individual games.
Yeah,
but like you like the through line of like heart through line of like humor.
Yeah, the through line of humor I think is the main thing about these games.
I would say in that case I would give it I would even go A.
Oh, I think I gotta say B.
B?
Because it's still like a little. The gameplay's not engaging quite as enough.
Okay, yeah, I'll go with B.
Yeah, nice. All right, big one, Super Mario.
We have to limit ourselves to like 5 minutes of debating about this because there's so much Mario. But I don't think we have to debate that much.
No, S.
Yeah, start with S. We can talk about our reasons now.
Is there any
that's
reason
S tier.
He wouldn't be S. And we're talking about the franchise, so this includes all the side scrollers, all the 3D games, the
RPGs, the kart, soccer, tennis.
Most of which are
baseball, I think.
Excellent. Yeah, there's Mario Sluggers. There's a soccer game, Mario Strikers series.
Yeah, I know I've talked about this before in other episodes, but the one Mario misstep the two missteps I always see are Sunshine, which is very divisive, and I hated it with passion.
Yeah.
And New Super Mario Brothers. The Wii version specifically. I liked the New Super Mario Brothers on the DS because it was like Mario with better graphics and a fun twist.
Yeah.
And then New Super Mario Brothers Wii became just like, to me, a different game altogether. The physics were different. The way the characters moved were tweaked in ways I didn't like.
I would tend to agree with you on those.
They didn't feel fun to me. They didn't have the magic that like some of the other Marios.
Yeah. And I definitely, I am a Sunshine detractor as well. It's unfinished. And you play it, and I've played it recently. They had the remake, not the remake, but Mario 3D All-Stars, and I played it through that. I was like, no, this is still not great. It's okay. But for a Mario game, an okay game.
It's still a pretty fun game.
It's a pretty fun game.
Okay, Mario game's still better than a good Lego game gameplay-wise.
Yeah. And then it's balanced out with like, okay, so that one okay game, for that one, there's 10 excellent games.
You got Odyssey. You got, to me, New Super Mario World. Super Mario Brothers
Wonder.
World. No, World.
Mario
the
World.
3D.
Super Mario 3D World.
I knew I was looking for some other things. Yeah. Super Mario 3D World is, I like that slightly better than Odyssey, just because to me it's more fun than Odyssey. I think Odyssey's a better game.
Yeah.
I have more fun playing with 3D World.
Right. And I like them all. I like 3D Land out of those. Like I like Land.
3D Land. I liked. I just didn't play it as much as World, but the 3DS version. I liked it. I liked it so much I gave it to my sister with my 3DS so she could play it.
Yeah.
Because I knew she would enjoy it. And she did. She loved the game. She beat it, and then I got her a Switch and got a Super Mario 3D World so she can play that.
And you get into there's Mario Brothers 3, there's Super Mario World, there's Super Mario 64, like all of these like amazing games. Games that
64 is amazing for its time. I would never go back now and play Mario 64.
I have gone back and played it recently. I still love it.
You still love it?
I think the motion on that Mario is like, And I understand. I've tried to play with my wife, and she did not enjoy it. But I liked it.
Well, I'm just like, why would I play that when I could just play Odyssey, which is a better game than Mario 64? Understandably, because it's iterated upon it, and it's been 20 years.
And I think it's hard to argue that Mario 64...
25 years.
Mario 64... like created a template that no one else had cracked, and every game in 3D since has aped.
Yeah,
like incredible.
Hopefully has aped.
Yeah, if you didn't ape it,
some games have tried to do it their own way and it failed.
Yeah. So I'd still say yes.
Oh yeah, obviously S. I'm just. We don't want to be Mario Sims here, so we want to actually show our homework.
Yeah. Next up, Pokemon. This is an interesting one.
I would have to say S.
Wow.
And with much the same reasoning with like Mario, where I've never played a Pokemon game and disliked it. I just have rarely finished a Pokemon game because of how long they are.
Mm-hmm.
With the amount of Pokemon management you have, sometimes it just gets to the point where I'm like, okay, I've played this game for 80 hours. I'm kind of done.
Yeah.
Like Sun and Moon was like that for me.
Yeah, I'd say they're very good, but there's a step down where they're by the numbers. Each game really hits the same beats. And every once in a while, like, oh, we're going to change things up. And they'll be like, it means that you can hold like now your Pokemon can hold an item.
I mean, there's only so much you can iterate on it. Like,
no, there's a lot you could change.
Well, there's a lot you could change, but the thing is, you're trying to keep a continuity of being able to use Pokemon from earlier games and later games, and they started with that like from jump basically as part of one of the features. So you have to keep feature bloat to a minimum, or else you have older Pokemon that you literally cannot use on like Sword and Shield because they can't hold a berry.
That's true,
or something like that.
When you say you can't do feature
you're
bloat,
constrained by it.
There's a ton of feature bloat in these games. Like,
well, yeah, they need a reason to keep making them.
Like, did you play any of the 3DS or the DS ones? Like, there was Sun and Moon or X and Y.
I played X and Y all the way through.
X and Y was
Black and White. I played
remember
all the way
X
through.
and Y had like that whole plaza that you could only do on the like Pokemon on Me.
Yeah.
And there was all that stuff. It was like, what was all this cruft? And some of it's kind of fun to play with a little bit.
But that's what it is. It's extra stuff. But the core gameplay of follow the story. Some bad people are Pokemon. You fight the bad people of Pokemon. You fight the final four at the end. Like, that's how all the games have gone for the most part.
Yeah.
But that's what you expect from a Pokemon game to me. Like, you expect a Mario game is you're either trying to save the kingdom, you're trying to save the princess directly, you're trying to work with the princess to save the kingdom. Like, narratively, they're all similar. Bowser did something bad, you stop Bowser.
Now, they did change it up a little bit when you get to like Arceus. Where it's
the Pokemon spin-off game.
Yeah,
I think in Japanese, even like Pokemon Gaiden, I think is a series.
Yeah,
it's like Legends here, but they're like Pokemon Gaiden Arceus, which is like side story.
Yeah.
I like that they tried to change it up. I didn't like Arceus just because it changed up too much.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, hey, nobody's ever heard of Pokemon. Here's an acorn. Throw it at a Pokemon and maybe it goes into the acorn. You don't know how.
So the conceit was too stupid for you.
Yeah. And then, you get beat up by a Garchomp because you're a person and a Garchomp has 6 arms that'll beat you to death.
Yeah.
That's not fun to me. I want my Pokemon to be tamed.
But I like that they were thinking of something.
Yeah.
And I think we need to include in this Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is a totally different game play type.
Yeah, but it is part of the franchise.
It's part of the franchise. And people still play it.
For what it's worth, they've added a bunch of features to it that make it seem more similar to the games.
Yeah.
Originally, it was walk around and collect Pokeballs. You throw a Pokemon in the AR creature. That was the gameplay loop.
Yeah, and
that's
now
why I played it for like 2 months and I
and
stopped because it was whack. Yeah, now there's fights you can trade with other players. You can battle online with other players. So it's a suboptimal version of that, but it's like you can make a better version of Pokemon on the phone and have it be successful. Yeah. But Go was successful because of the community aspect of it. Also that they charge you nickel and dime for stuff.
I think the essential kernel of this game is capturing monsters, training them, and battling with them.
Yeah, you can't train them in any significant way in Go, which is one of the reasons I never went back to try to play it.
But it's a very compelling loop.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. The thing is, I don't know if you ever felt this. When I move to a new game, I feel like it's sad because I'm losing everything I did in the last game. It feels like I built up this whole thing and then it's like, well, now you start fresh again.
That's because you weren't transferring your Pokemon to the new game.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, once in a while I did, but even then, then they're gone from that old game. If I go back to that game.
Well, yeah, are you supposed to have unlimited Pokemons?
No.
I mean, I do get what you're saying. Like part of it for me is like
there's a finality.
Yes, like unless you're gonna do online battles where you're training Pokemon to play competitively with other players, then you can play it until those game servers die because I moved on to the next one. But I enjoyed picking up like new game, new setting, new doctor who gives you Pokemon who dis. Where's the Pikachu at in this game? Because all of them have a Pikachu you can catch early on.
Yeah,
like they all have their own little nuances that make it like it's a new starting over point, but like any other game I play, like it's a new starting point. I'm going to start new, see what I can make of this game. The bonus is being able to bring over my old Pokemon, but like you were level gated. You had to be a certain number of gyms before you were able to control Pokemon over a certain level.
Yeah.
So that's how you were you weren't able to steamroll the new game by taking your old Pokemon over.
Right.
So I kind of like that aspect, especially when I had Pokemon to transfer of like, oh yeah, lovingly like crafted and raised this one from an egg. When I reach level 45, I can use it in this game. So it gives me extra incentive to, increase my level in, beat a certain number of gyms in the new game.
So before we grade it, one question for you. Do you name your Pokemon?
Often, yeah.
Yeah, I like to do it too. And
Yeah,
it takes some time.
Especially my starter Pokemon.
Yeah.
My favorite type of whatever is new in the game. Like I try to seek out like all the new types or the new Pokemon. And the one I like the most, I like to give a name. Any Scyther, if a Scyther's there, I'm going to use it regardless of how meta it is or not, or how, if I'm fighting a fire type, I'm like, it's a grass bug, it's going to die. I don't care. Scyther's the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would name any Pokemon that I would, like I would keep 5 Pokemon in my party with names basically.
Right.
And one would rotate in and out depending if I need a type to beat a dungeon or not.
All right. So I want to say A.
But do you name your Pokemon?
Oh yeah, I name them. I name until it gets to a ridiculous point in the game when if you're trying to like min max and like, oh, I want to get the Caterpie with the best IK or whatever. Then I stop.
IPs.
Yeah, IPs.
Or IDs? No, ID. IVs. Individual values,
yes.
yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think about A? You think it's S?
I think it's S. I'm not going to fight you tooth and nail over S, but I think it's S. If you think it's A, we'll put an A for now.
We'll put an A for now.
We'll revisit at the end if we have time. And
that sounds good. All right. Next up, Tetris. Tetris is this is really high on the list too. I think it's like the second or third top selling franchise. Yeah. Tetris is great. Tetris is life. I will never get bored playing Tetris.
I frequently get bored playing Tetris, but it's the type of game it doesn't matter because you're not like going to be playing Tetris for 80 hours at a time.
No.
Like over the course of a couple weeks, you're going to be playing Tetris whenever you have some downtime. Oh, I want to play a game of Tetris or two. Like it's fun and bite-sizable in that way, which I enjoy, and which is probably why it sells so much because people buy a new device. Tetris is out, they get a Tetris. Why not?
It's it single-handedly launched the Game Boy. And
I'm sure a lot of those numbers come from Game Boy sales.
Yeah,
because it's real popular.
Only some of them, because the Game Boy only sold so many units itself, and we're now talking in the world of like 400 million, 500 million.
Yeah, it was more than 250 million is the list. It was
no, it's really good, and it's still relevant. Like Tetris 99 is really fun to play. Have you played much of that?
Yeah, when it came out, I played it a bit, but again, as usual, Tetris is one of those things where like I'll play Tetris for like a day or two, and then I'm like I'll put it down until later because the problem with Tetris is you play Tetris.
Yeah.
There are little twists and stuff that some versions add.
Puyo Tetris?
I wouldn't count that as a Tetris game.
It's in the name. Puyo Tetris.
Pretty sure technically it's a Puyo game that has Tetris in it.
Oh, okay. I would include it under a Tetris franchise.
Because it's developed by Sega. It's not developed by anybody who
Tetris is a license that just gets passed around.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like it was like a joint Sega Nintendo thing where they're like, let's make this game with 2 of our puzzle games mashed together. And Puyo is not as good as Tetris, but yeah. Also the way it was named, they would call it Tetris Puyo if it was I don't know. I'm quibbling. That's what tier lists are for, I guess. Discussions or quibbling. But
I think Tetris is hard to not put an S personally. I don't know. What do you?
I would say A.
A. I'll put an A.
Only because you play a Tetris, you played it. But in a similar way, though, you played a Pokemon.
Similar, yes. Yeah, not a ton changes between.
You don't name your Tetraminos, though.
You don't. You got me there. All right, here's the next one that people don't necessarily think of as a franchise. Wii. This includes things like Wii Sports, Wii Play, Wii Music.
Let's Wii again. Or let's Wii again.
Like we did last summer. This is interesting because I kind of, it's sort of a dead franchise, right? Because nobody.
Well, it sold so much in it, like much as like I was saying with Tetris, it was a pack-in for the Wii system, or at least the first thing that people would think of, because they would witness, especially older people, when the Wii came out, they would see people playing Wii Golf, and they'd be like, "Oh, I would like to do that. That seems fun." They try Wii Golf. They go out and buy Wii Golf, only buy Wii Golf. Well, I mean, only buy Wii Sports has Wii Golf in it.
Yeah.
And so a large number of sales of the Wii, I'm pretty sure, only had Wii Sports attached for a long time.
Certainly, yeah.
Not that doesn't diminish how many it sold, because that's a strong product that you can have somebody buy a system just to play that one game.
Yeah, it was a big
And
deal.
it was innovative, and it was new, and it was novel.
Yeah, I think novel is the key word, though. Like, it was new and sort of a flash in the pan. It was a long flash. Don't get me wrong, like the better part of a decade, but no one's making Wii games anymore. And they've killed all that branding off, and I think the Wii U is thanks to that. They were like, oh, the Wii's so popular, we'll make another system called it.
So basically, they made the Wii, and then people loved it. A lot of non-gamers loved it. And then they made the Wii U and put something gamers would like, a big old honking touchpad with a second screen. Sign me up.
Yeah.
But then other people that got the Wii just to play like Wii Sports, they're like, well, A, why do I need a Wii U? I already have Wii Sports.
Yeah.
And B, they're like, I don't want a gamepad. I don't like buttons. I want a thing I can swing around, because to me, that's all a video game is good for, swinging the thing around.
I feel like Wii doesn't have a strong franchise identity either. Like, it's kind of all over the place.
I mean, it kind of has identity. It's like you have chibi characters that are modeled after, if not exactly, your Mii.
Yeah, the Mii.
From the system. And that was really the
yeah. I mean, that's
Mii was the design.
Mii was. I would always call it like the Mii franchise, because more stuff used in the Mii is going on the 3DS. There was a ton of Mii stuff that was really fun.
But also,
but it wasn't called Wii.
Was anybody buying that stuff that wasn't like the 3DS? People weren't buying a Wii U and playing Wii Sports and be like, "Let me go get a 3DS," because you couldn't do the same motion control gimmick with the 3DS, as you did not the same level as the. Didn't it have a gyroscope in it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, but on the same level as Wii.
No, you weren't shaking it around like.
Yeah, like I think actually the Wii entry on Wikipedia is mostly Wii Sports. I don't even know if it would include any other Wii things.
It probably includes Wii Sports Resort and Wii Play.
Yeah, Resort, that's right.
Yeah, but
I thought Wii Play was like checkers and stuff.
Yeah, it was board games with Mii's
okay.
and other like little fun games, like party games. Sorry, so where are you thinking grade wise? Because I'm saying the games were fun. I know you hate the motion control.
I mean, I like Wii Sports, like the games and stuff from there. It was, to me, it was a diversion and not a game. Like, I want to sit down and, like I said, play it for 20 hours in a couple weeks.
I could be argued B or C personally.
I would say C or D.
C or D? All right. I think that comes out to a C.
And that's being generous with the C. Yeah, I think.
So here we go. Yeah, Wii is on the same level as Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty.
I don't feel good about that.
As in which one's being slighted?
Grand Theft Auto, no matter how edgy it might be, or Call of Duty even, are still games. Like games with capital G proper.
Yeah.
Games. And then Wii Sports was a game, but not a capital G game.
We'll get there. All right. We'll do a revision. Right. We're going to go through the list, and we mentioned that we were going to.
For Pokemon. Fine. Minecraft.
Yeah. Move on to Minecraft. So this is interesting. Minecraft has been a very long time. It's one of those things people are like, well, that's a stupid fad. Like Pokemon still goes on. My kids play Minecraft still a lot with their cousins. It's still really fun. It's build your own gameplay for the most part. And that turns off some people, but for millions more, it turns on. Like it, and there are some spinoffs. There's Minecraft Dungeons is a dungeon crawler game. There's a whole Telltale episodic series. Yeah, and that's interesting. But the real thing, like Minecraft, the OG is still the same one people are playing. It's just different upgrades over time, but there's never been another release of Minecraft. It's just there's Minecraft. Well, if you want to get technical, there's Java Edition and there's Bedrock Edition, but they're both Minecraft.
Yeah.
I like Minecraft a lot. I think it's one of the best things you could have parent your children. If it's a choice but for me between GTA and Minecraft, I'd be like,
oh, obviously.
Yes.
Well, it should be obvious. It's not, but it should be obvious.
I want to say Minecraft is like a solid A. How do you feel about Minecraft?
I have literally no opinion about Minecraft.
Wow.
I played it a bit and I was like, I don't really like the gameplay of like the game that was shipped with it. the creative mode stuff is interesting. I have no interest in. I'm not a fiddly in the weeds type person, and that game is all in the weeds to me. Like
it's all
it's a dandelion field, and I'm like, I don't want to be in the dandelion field. I want to be above it, looking at the yellow that the dandelion field creates to the eye from above. I don't want to be down there planting dandelions.
You don't want to plant every square.
Yeah, like I was never into I was into the RPG Maker game software. Back on PC back in the day, because I was like, oh, I love Chrono Trigger. I want to make my own RPG, top-down isometric pixel RPG. And then I realized how much work went into that. And I was like, never mind. I like the idea of stuff like that. I don't enjoy it myself. But I know because I don't enjoy it myself, it's not the type of I think this is a bad game. I don't think it's anything that I care about. So I abstained from giving it a grade.
Yeah.
And if I had to, it would be F, because I'd be like,
I don't want to play it ever.
Yeah, this is garbage to me.
But, to me, it is one of the few games that still inspires awe. Like if I'm playing Minecraft and I break into a tunnel that I didn't know existed, and you're digging down, and suddenly this whole subterranean world opens in front of you. No one's ever seen this before because it's algorithmically generated and it's done really well. It's still an awesome feeling. And I think the game looks great. And some people are like, oh, it's all pixely, but it's this breadth of pixely stuff that spreads out in a world around you. I think it's great.
Actually, I think that's part of why I don't like it too, is that it's algorithmically generated.
Yeah.
And I like that to a certain extent because it gives you replayability. Me as a player, it gives me replayability.
Right.
I feel like with Minecraft, it makes it too. It doesn't seem like something you play for a short burst of time. Like you would play the whole same life or the same game or something for a while, right? Or is it something that you would be like, oh, I'm going to play it like a roguelike and
you can
until I die and start over again?
You can play it in you're probably not going to start over again. Like you can. Yeah. My kids do, and I'm like, they'll spend 100 hours in a world and be like, I'll start a new world. I'm like, where's the old one? Like, I deleted it. I'm like, okay. They're very not precious about the way I would be. But yeah, all right. I'm gonna say
Sorry,
B.
I wasn't trying to talk you down.
Yeah.
I just realized when you mentioned that
franchise. I'm gonna say B for now. We'll put Minecraft in B.
Although you could argue that it's not a franchise because there's one of them.
There's at least three games.
Counting the spinoffs. Okay, that's true.
I know it's changed. They've updated it so many times over the years. Feels like it's a forever game.
If Minecraft's in Smash Brothers, I guess that's a franchise.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and he's an awesome character in Smash Brothers.
I played as him that one time. He was way overpowered, overtuned at least.
Sonic the Hedgehog. That's hard to rank, dude.
I'm gonna call the shot here and say it's gonna end up in A. I wanted an S. I know you probably cared as little for Sonic as I care about Minecraft.
Probably.
As a franchise and as a game.
I haven't played many Sonic games, especially not to completion. I think I played some of Adventure, some of Adventure 2. The classic ones I really never played. The 2D. And everything since then, it's kind of been a train wreck according to the internet, at least. Like I didn't personally play Sonic Unleashed, but I don't know.
Sonic in the Golden Rings, or some of the Sonic in the Arabian Nights, all those weird spinoffs. I don't understand what that was about. That wasn't even IP hoarding because they own the IP. It's like I don't get it.
So, as a
I guess
franchise,
they had a fun idea and it just didn't pan out in execution.
And this is different than rating Sonic as a mascot. It's different than rating. It's the franchise,
Sonic Adventure 2 to me is the Sonic game. Like if somebody was like, oh, I should play one game of each of these franchises, I'd be like Sonic Adventure 2.
Mm-hmm.
I love that game. I thought it was 2/3 of it, 5/6 of it was amazing. And then 1/6 of the gameplay is just like the type of gameplay I don't like.
Yeah.
At least the way it was handled. It was like a hot, cold style, search. But it was very convoluted and very linear at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, let me use my puzzle solving skills to figure out the different puzzles in this meta puzzle. But let me figure out the riddle of this setting, and then I'll use that riddle that I figured out to solve, that solution that I figured out to solve the rest of the puzzle. It was, oh, you have to go here, and then you have to go here. And if you don't go this certain path, you're stuck. And you got to start all over again. And it's like trial and error, but in the worst way because there's no That could use some procedural generation. Put it that way.
They've made a lot of missteps, and the one that sticks out to me always is Sonic 06, which I did not personally play, but I watched the Game Grumps play I watched the entire thing, and it was hilarious. And
it looks very bad. It's very buggy.
Bad. Very buggy. So jank. It's like amazing that you would release that on a
Sonic
disc.
kissed a human girl.
Yes.
Why?
So like, and that's kind of become more of the standard. I feel like Sonic 06 is more the identity of Sonic than like Sonic Adventure 2 now.
Well, because Adventure 2 was a solid game. Even if you didn't love the game, it was a solid video game.
Yes.
And then after that, there were a bunch of non-solid, very porous video games.
Yeah. Like
Sonic 06 being the most porous out of all of them.
Have you enjoyed any of them since Sonic Adventure 2?
So I liked Sonic Generations, which was literally a greatest hits of all the other Sonic games, like 3D Sonic games. But when you pick the hits, like even the Sonic 06 stages were fun. The problem is they came from Sonic 06.
Yeah. All right.
So, but yeah, and then after that, like there was like Sonic Forces, which was a weird revolutionary
themed,
Sonic. Like Sonic game. We can make your own characters. I was like, that's for all the Sonic fan fiction people. I don't want that one.
Yeah.
Sonic Frontiers, I wanted to love it. The problem is it came out between a bunch of other games I wanted to play, and it was an open world game where you played a Sonic where the open world was drab.
Mm-hmm.
Because you had to run between areas. So
I was
most of the
curious
areas were
about that.
empty.
It looked interesting, but yeah, empty.
Well, I don't even know if there were that many empty spaces because the pop-in, the draw distance was half the distance of like the horizon on the screen.
Yeah, it seemed like you'd be running an open world and suddenly like this giant like sky, all these like platforms would appear in the sky right in front of you.
Yes, you look and you're like, oh, it's empty. And you start running to see if there's anything there, and then suddenly there's a giant platform going up to the sky. And it's like, if I saw that from across the world, it would give me a sense of, oh, I have to be able to get there so I can climb it.
So what's your gut say rating? Where
gut says A.
Says A?
As a franchise, says A, because even with his ups and downs, some of the highs were real good. Like the 2D games were, especially at the time, but even now, like as a 2D platformer, you play them as they're intended to be played, they're very good. If you don't play them as they're intended to be played, like you try to play them like a Mario game, it doesn't work.
It's funny, like I'm not gonna argue against A. I think A works, but there's so many bad games. That it's funny that like the strength of the character is such that he endures through so many bad games.
Well, so like the way I see it, there's a lot of bad games, but most of them are spinoffs.
Yeah,
Sonic 06 was literally it was just called Sonic the Hedgehog.
It would be like because a reboot.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like a reboot, like a new launching point for the franchise, and it was bad.
It's no use.
But it was bad because it was unfinished.
Yeah,
like they rushed it out and they shot themselves in the foot doing so. Most of the mainline games, well, I consider mainline games, which is like games that are not Sonic and a gimmick. They're just a Sonic game or Sonic and his friends in a game. Like most of them are solid games. They're not the best, but they're solid. They do what you wanted to do. It's just have a functioning game that gives you enjoyment while you play it.
It's funny. You still think like if someone's like, name me video game characters, Sonic's probably still going to be the second or third person you pick. Still in this day and age.
And then it's like, name me a good Sonic game. And they're like, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
Or they're like Sonic Adventure 2, or they're like Sonic 3.
So I feel like he's synonymous with video games, but also nobody plays them. Not nobody, but fewer people play them.
Well, there's lots of people that play them for what I think are misguided.
Well, like pervy reasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the Bible Sonic memes and the pregnant Sonic memes are memes for a reason. They exist for a reason and endure because people keep, like, I think they're not just memes. I think some people are really into, especially the Christian aspect of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was completely made up
for the internet. There's not even subtext in Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, outside the games, I would say like
I would even agree with B.
I'm fine with ranking. I'm fine with A. Because I just think you're right. Like he's got this mark for some reason. I don't even know why, but he's there and he's in my brain. He's in your brain. He's in the collective consciousness of video games. And yet
they just won't make a good Sonic video game. At least not one that you can have a game where the character goes fast and the world is designed for you to go fast. They never have those two together.
No.
Either the world's not designed to meet it, like Sonic Frontiers, for whatever reason. They got overconfident. They overdeveloped. They under-resourced or something. I don't know. Or you get something like Sonic 3D Blast, which came out back in the day, which was, we're going to do an isometric Sonic game with lots of, so you can't run fast. No, because it's isometric. You run fast north to east. That's the only way you can see anything. Otherwise, you can't see what's ahead of you. And it's like, why did you build this game?
But yeah, we stick with A there. We'll move
B. I just talked myself into B because Sonic 3D Blast was so bad.
Wow, you really hated that game. We talked through Sonic 06 and all these other ones, and you're just like, no, it's Sonic 3D Blast brings me down to B.
I made it twice.
Yeah.
For Genesis and 3DX. And it was worse on 3DX.
Now we're coming up on the last two. The Legend of Zelda.
A. I mean, not A, S.
S. Yeah,
I was thinking top. I don't know. I was thinking top, so I default to A.
I was about to like have an argument.
No, S.
Like, I don't even know. There's not much to talk about. It's an S. It's so many good games.
The most disagreeable to me Zelda game is still it's still better than any Sonic game. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't like Twilight Princess on principle. I never really played it much, but just the look of it, I like the look of the gameplay. I was like, I don't think I like or want to do this.
Still played over most Sonic.
I like the Shadow Realm conceit in like Link to the Past.
Yeah.
Link Between Worlds. That type of game I feel like is more fitting. I don't want that in a 3D Zelda game.
Yeah, and
for whatever reason, it just doesn't jive with me.
To pull out the worst of Zelda, and even like I would agree with you. Like that's one of my least favorite Zelda games.
But it's still a very good game.
I'd still probably rather play that over almost pretty much anything else below it on the list. Maybe there's a Final Fantasy game or two I would rather play. Maybe.
There are definitely Pokemon games I would prefer to play over some of the
Twilight
bad
Princess.
Zelda games I don't like.
But then the good ones.
But the good ones are.
I mean, just go from there. Like Wind Waker is
one of my favorite ones. I definitely at the time I played it, I enjoyed it immensely.
Link Between Worlds, which I feel like is a sleeper, but it's so good. Link to the Past, of course.
We talk about Link's Awakening and how much we apparently out of the entirety of fandom stay in that game like the most because we love it.
Yes. Link's Awakening is probably one of my favorite videos.
I loved it so much, I never got around to buying the remaster. I talked about buying the remaster on this podcast.
Yeah.
And then I thought about it and I was like, it might diminish my fond memories of the Game Boy one, so I don't want to play it.
Yeah.
Which it wasn't completely what it came down to. It's also like time limitations, but I was like,
And it's reinvented itself successfully so many times because Ocarina was the first like 3D adventure game of that ilk and knocked it out of the park. And then you get around to like, oh, it's getting kind of stale. They make Breath of the Wild, which my favorite open world game of all time.
I mean, I still like Tears of the Kingdom better.
Oh,
I was thinking about it. Like
the two of them. I'm kind of thinking together.
Breath of the Wild expansion pack.
Yeah,
if you want to be,
they're both excellent.
Pedantic about it. Yeah.
I agree. I like Tears of the Kingdom a lot.
But yeah, it was Breath of the Wild was the only thing I would like more out of Breath of the Wild would be it's an issue I have with all Zelda games. I realized, but I just thought into like solidifies the concept in my head. You get to the end of the story. And basically your gameplay is effectively over because you beat the last boss. It saves you as beating the game, but puts you right before the last boss.
Right.
So for most intents and purposes, anything else you do in the game is just you were messing around in Zelda, but it's not going to get, it's not of any consequence.
Yeah, I think
at the very least.
That's just open worlds in general, right?
So a lot of open world games, like you beat the storyline and you still get to continue playing the game.
Okay. Like the world has changed.
The world state has not changed so drastically that you can't continue playing the open world parts as you were. Zelda games always have you be like, oh, you reached the end of your story so hard that you can only save right before. So if we save you after, there's nothing for you to do.
So I think we're both agreed though. S.
Yeah.
Moving on to the last one, Resident Evil. Now this is one I want to put it in S.
Yeah, but I say I want to hear what your letter was first.
I want to put it in S because it is consistently good. It was very innovative at the time, and it has also reinvented itself. I would argue with like Resident Evil 1 obviously. Resident Evil 4 reinvented the gameplay. And
8 or 7.
Well, yeah, 7 kind of did again.
What was 6? I can't even think of what
6 is the one that no one liked. I didn't play it.
Because 5 is the one with Chris Redfield punching boulders in Africa, right? What was 6?
6 was I didn't play because everyone said it was bad. It's the one I haven't played.
What was it?
But what was
you don't even know
right.
what it's about.
I think it was kind of like an all-stars, like they pulled in a bunch of different characters in different environments and you had to go through and I don't know. But these games, like I'm playing right now through Final Fantasy IV Remake. And at first I didn't want to play that because I was like, Final Fantasy IV is such a good game. I don't want to sully my memories of Final Fantasy IV. And at first, when I started playing the remake, I'm like, oh, they made it worse. It feels wrong. But I got used to it. And there's a lot
it feels like a proper shooter game now.
Oh, yeah. And it feels right. And there's so much detail and love put into everything. There's so much writing and secrets and the area design. Like, you just see what they put into these environments. It's amazing. Like, there's so much depth. Yeah, it's had a couple missteps, but the goods are so consistently good. I don't know. How do you feel about Resident Evil?
I've played, the only games I played like all the way through was like Resident Evil Code Veronica, which was on Dreamcast, which I loved. And then I think that's it.
Okay.
For like mainline games.
So you didn't play through 4.
I haven't played 4 much at all because I hate it. I know I've said this before. I hate the controls, the way the characters control in Resident Evil games. I know it's on purpose.
Yeah.
I still hate it and dislike it. Like much like how you like dislike the Assassin's Creed gameplay, like viscerally. Like I have a visceral reaction against Resident Evil gameplay.
Okay.
So I'll be interested in trying the 4 remake to see if some of that is alleviated.
Yeah.
But I watched the playthrough of 4, watched the playthrough of 8 recently, and it still has all the trappings of Resident Evil games that people love, like finding items in order to save. I hate that on a functional level.
Well, they stopped doing that since like 3. Like 4 was free save, and then from the remakes from then on all said free save.
Well, isn't there something you have to?
It was it used to be the ink spools.
I think I think in 8 it's not something you collect to save. It was something else. It was something fiddly like that. Whatever it was, it made me. As soon as I saw it, I was just like, oh, more Resident Evil. So I guess I discounted it too hard because I kept thinking it was a save feature.
Yeah,
like I'd been grumbling about for 25 years. But
there's a 7 you're talking about, which is the first person one.
No, it's 8.
8 is Village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching a playthrough of Village, and it was like, oh, so there's a lot of like you aim at a character's head and you fire and you somehow miss randomly because games like you have to have sparse bullets. So we got to waste your bullet somehow, and it's free aim. So now we got to make you miss.
See, I didn't feel like this game does that. Like the enemies are shifty, so every time I miss, it feels earned.
It feels like they dodged.
It feels like it dodged. Okay. So I don't feel it does that Borderlands thing where it's like
I was getting Borderlands or Fallout 3 style. Like, oh, you got 95% to hit. That means you get 5% to miss. A dead on shot. Like, I always hated that. You said it doesn't feel. I
don't think it does.
Okay.
But if you're watching, I can see it like, oh, it looks like he should have hit there.
It's just been the guy playing it was bad.
Yeah. But they're fun, and their camp is some of my favorite. It's the campiest.
I love campy
stuff.
I don't think I like the later. I haven't played experience enough for the later games to know if the camp is to my taste. I guess I love the settings and the plots and story of Resident Evil 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like playing it.
4 has a tiny Napoleon man who goes around like laughing and sniveling, and it's fun. But yeah, I can see. So
you want to say S? You said
I want to say S. What would you say? Because it sounds like it is not S.
Out of reverence for its pedigree and out of reverence for how much you enjoy it,
I want your honest take. So we could go average.
I would say B. Go A, average.
All right, A. We'll move Resident Evil to A.
I don't want to drag it down that much for you because you really enjoy
but
the
I'm okay
franchise.
with A. A is still excellent.
No, but okay, make it S, but with my on the record stated objection to it being S on a personal level, not at a franchise's worth level.
All right. So let's see where we got.
That way, I don't feel bad about it later.
You don't have to feel bad. This is a tier list.
I don't feel bad about dragging down your Resident Evil that you enjoy.
Yeah. So we got Mario, Zelda, Resident Evil. I think Resident Evil is the only one that's even arguable for S. A tier, we got Final Fantasy, Pokemon, Tetris. I feel pretty good about those in A, personally. Like, they're all excellent games, franchises. And I know you might want to move Tetris down. Is that what I'm feeling?
No. Like, it's enduring. If a franchise endures, then it's worth a high rating.
Yeah.
I just don't, compared to like any other, except maybe the Lego games and Minecraft on this list, I don't see the gameplay as engrossing enough to be like, oh, this is a great franchise because every game's engrossing, or the highest quality games are very engrossing and fun to play. Like, I'm like, Tetris is Tetris. It's always fun to play.
Yeah.
Unless you don't like Tetris.
Yeah. But
it's Tetris. It ends when the screen fills up or you brick it. So either way, I'm like,
We got our B's: Lego, Minecraft, Sonic.
Yeah.
Feel okay about those two?
Too many crappy Sonic games to justify being higher than that. I feel like, yeah. If you're going by the quality of each game in the franchise,
Just
it
like
should
the
be lower.
franchise, yeah.
But I consider the franchise as its highs versus its lows. Because there's lots of stuff in the middle. Like for everything. It's just Zelda and Mario, its lows are still very good games.
Right.
Pokemon, I feel like its lows are still very good games. But I will admit, I haven't finished a Pokemon game since X and Y. So what's that say about me or the games? I don't know who's at fault there.
All right, then we got C: Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, Wii.
I feel like I would personally put Call of Duty below Grand Theft Auto for franchise quality, but based on my metric of highest highs versus lowest lows.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't played enough Call of Duty as well to know about the highs and lows. I just know Modern Warfare, which was like started off this new, the trend they currently have of yearly releases, was a very solid and very good game, gameplay wise, and had a good, interesting story attached to it. I imagine it got worse in the story department since then, but I don't know. They added zombies and Danny Trejo. So.
Yeah, we're getting to where we know less about them, and therefore we're judging them harsher. But also, just like we're not into it as much. Like
also, that's human nature.
Yeah,
you just like things you don't know.
Yeah. But I feel all right about that. Assassin's Creed D, I'm also okay with.
It's earned it.
It's earned it.
It knows what it did.
And then we have F, FIFA, just because we don't play soccer and games.
It's got 2 Fs, so give it
got
3
2
Fs.
Yep. All right. So this is the top 14 game franchise of all time by dollars. Yeah, I feel good about this for us. Between you and me, I think it's a good averaging. Yeah. How do you feel about the exercise? Make you want to play video games? Anything?
Makes you want to play Tetris.
Yeah, okay.
I'll give it that.
Yeah, all right.
I always want to play Tetris, though. Someone's like, hey, here, play Tetris. I'm going to play Tetris. Like,
hence A.
I can't say the same with the Resident Evil game.
Fair enough. Well, thank you guys so much for watching us, indulging us in another tier list. We may do some more of this. This is really fun, and there's a reason, I guess, that it's a YouTube meme.
Yeah, we have to do one of these with Terry here about Sony.
Oh yeah,
franchises, Sony video games.
Yeah, if you guys have any suggestions for something you'd like to see us go through to rank, let us know. Let us see if there's any of your babies you'd like us to kill. Yeah. But yeah, until next time, thank you so much for watching Tubby Talk. I'm Chris.
I'm Steve.
And we'll see you next time.
We could have did a tier list about ice cream.
Next time.
YUNKJunk!